Hello everybody, it's the BMD-4 time for a review. I'm not sure how that one paid out, but well. The BMD-4 is one of the two AFVs, well, it's one of the tier 7 AFVs in Armoured Warfare, I think. Don't quote me on that one. People have quoted me before and have paid the price. And kind of one of the big four. The big four being the Weasel, the M1134, the Centauro 120, and of course itself. The BMD-4 is the most flexible of the lot, having a very punchy missile, 827 damage. You can reliably get that up to 1000 if you want to use the damage retrofits. 892mm of penetration, enough to go through the front turret armor of the tier 7 Abrams. Respectable AP damage, and a high explosive shell. Very, very, very unique to AFVs, and that it's actually kind of a cannon and not an autocannon, allowing it to do close range, medium range, and long range. It's also one of the fastest AFVs in the game as well. Let's have a look at those upgrades. Being able to do 0 to 32 in 2.09 seconds. It also has reconnaissance packages, armor retrofits, universal retrofits, more universal retrofits. While the tank, the AFV, does have quite a high skill gap, and I'm definitely not one of those skill players. I have definitely had fun in it, and I've definitely managed to get a glimpse of what this thing is capable of. It is, like I've said before, flexible, fast, and very punchy. It doesn't have any armor. It does have some kind of gun depression. I'm not sure how much it is, but it can definitely aim the gun down several degrees. We have 4 retrofit slots. I think we have 2 universals, an armor, and a technology. Of course, technology go for optics, armor go for hit points, and then firepower. It's either a choice between any of the damage retrofits, accuracy, or reload ones. As always, it's up to you. View range 455 meters. Bump that up by 80 when stopped, and that's something like 530 something. Now its DPM is 3173, but that's with the high explosive shell. Doesn't have any armor, of course, but enough hit points to survive a round or two. This thing is the nemesis to the M1134. It can reliably punch up the Weasel, and if you can get close in range with a Centauro 120, you'll beat him. The Weasel having... Let's have a look. Does the Weasel get the reconnaissance package? No, it doesn't, so... Oh yeah, it does. So it's got the second best spotting damage in the game. Well, spotting in tier 7. Armor... Just... Oh, minus 6 degrees of gun depression, that's not bad actually. Armor, yeah, it doesn't have any. Surprisingly enough, it has 35mm of armor on the side of the turret. That could literally stop someone with an M9 shooting at you, but that's not really going to work out well, is it? Now I need to look for a replay. I think Roughneck could be the one. So, like I was saying, I'm not the best AFV player in the world. I'm quite good in my tier 5 AFVs, but when it comes to higher, like the BMD-3, the Bradley and stuff, it's kind of hit and miss with me. I'm just not as good in them. So, I like to remind you that I'm not the greatest AFV player in the world, but I did have quite a lot of fun in this game. I think I did around 4,000 damage in this one. Not sure. So, me and Corzagola caught in his Centauro 120, and me in my BMD-4. So, initially, I'm going up here, going up to spot. This thing only has 10 missiles, and I don't have any high explosive rounds with my autocannon. Not exactly a very good idea. To be honest, I'm not sure if you should take high explosive rounds with your autocannon, because you have that cannon that can only fire high explosive anyway. So, we're kind of just sitting around at the moment. To be honest, this is what usually happens on high tier. A lot of people go on the ridge here, people go on the other ridge there, and this Weasel actually got killed by my missile. Very amusing. So, and yes, I bounced a shot from a Centauro on the rangefinder. The rangefinder is now confirmed as the most heavily armoured part of this tank. But since I fell all the way back, I wasn't able to get a shot on their Centauros late. But there is a Challenger I can shoot at. Cora is of course looking at me. He laughed when I told him where it hit it. He actually bounced a shot from a 120 or something, I think. I'm not sure, but it definitely happened. There's that Challenger one coming up. On the side, I don't do any damage. Core, of course, absolutely smacks it in the face for 700. So I kind of go on it again. This time, come on, drum roll, and I do 232 damage right in the side. Good respectable amount of damage, to be honest. This isn't supposed to be a damage dealer. The 100mm cannon is. It's more of an annoyance weapon. 123 damage on the Leopard 2 AV. Remember, I've got 40 of those shells. Even if I do only 100 damage, if I fire all of them, that's 400 damage. I hit him again. Don't do any damage. I actually bounce. I think it hits the most heavily armored part of his tank or something. But this time I'm like, shoot him, and I kill him. That was actually quite amusing. So I've got 2 kills. At this stage in the match, I've only done 700 damage, but I've secured 2 kills and briefly annoyed the Challenger before he died. The death of 1,000 cuts, of course. But now, the both of us, we're kind of like, we've probably got to move now, to be honest. There's Core running off over there. I was kind of undecided on what to do, and like, look how fast this thing accelerates. I'm gonna go soon. Very soon. Look, see, 32, just like that. 2-3 seconds. And top speed reached just like that. Of course, going down the hill, but acceleration does play quite a part. So now Core's Core, or Dragon, as he likes to be called, is going up to spot some enemies in a Centauro. Or kill them. I'm not particularly sure which is better. But of course now, I'm actually going to help him. By going up here. Oh, and to be honest, they are going to murder that Centauro 120 before I can even get there. But there is a pair of M134s, which to be honest are absolutely useless versus the BMD-4. This is because they can only shoot 2 missiles and their turret rotates very slowly. Obviously, missiling them is not the way to go, but an autocannon, a high explosive shell, will absolutely rip them into pieces. This guy, of course, he's getting shot at. But now, look at this. Bang. 300 damage, and a single autocannon shot to take him out. You think to yourself, well, that wasn't a good kill there, was it? And I'm like, look at the difference between the high explosive on the Challenger, which is a heavily armoured vehicle, and the high explosive vehicle, and the high explosive on this. This is a low roll for that high X round. It could have done even 600 damage. This thing has very, very deadly high explosive shells and missiles. And now I kind of waste my time. I shoot at that Centauro 120 a bit, but to be honest, it's not going to do anything. He's run off by now, so I decide to keep going. Myokovo over there, and a Stingray 2. That Stingray 2 is actually going to be quite the pain in the ass for us guys, because some of us want to cap. And to be honest, and right now, nobody wants to take a hit. I wait for him to fire, and look at this. Look at the amount of damage I do to this guy. See, that is almost 1,000 damage done just like that. And of course he's going to die now. I take about 400 damage in return, 500 damage, maybe 600. But in the end I do far more damage to him than he'll do to me. Do not trade with a BMD-4 in terms of damage, unless you're something like a T90, because then with a T90 you could just one-shot them completely. Or a 120. Yeah, the 120 is probably the nemesis to the BMD-4 in mid-range and long-range engagements, but short-range, because of its wheels, it can't maneuver well enough to properly engage a BMD-4. So now, I am going to show you that missiles can do a lot of damage to a Challenger. Do you know why? Because I shot at this roof armor. Many people don't know that, so when you're facing a Challenger and you have missiles, don't aim at the driver's port, don't aim at the gunner's point. Blast him with a missile in the roof. He'll definitely hate you for it. And this time I hit the Capello instead, but 300 damage. Hey, that's alright, I guess. Of course, the Challenger is now suffering a death of 1,000 cuts. To be honest, might as well speed it up here. This Challenger of course starts aiming at me, then I go up for a spot here. But to be honest, and now we show the view range of it. Leopard 2 spotted, and to be honest, if that Centauro 120 fired there at I0, it is an I0 I think, but if it shot, I would have been able to see it. And of course, 30 seconds left to go, there's nobody on the base, 20 seconds. To be honest, I really wanted to rush this BMD, this Leopard. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, so I'm just like, I'm gonna shoot you! No, I'm not, and the game ends. And do a bit of a slide at the end. So, we saw in that video the power of the high explosive shells, 300 damage on the Challenger, the most heavily armoured vehicle in Tier 7. The autocannon shell ripping that Stingray apart, ripping that M134 apart. The anti-tank missile being fast enough to catch that Weasel and being able to do a good full damage roll on that Challenger and go straight for the roof armour. Like I said, this vehicle does have a relatively high skill gap compared to say the MBTs in its tier, but there's no reason why you shouldn't get one and play one. Even if you suck at it, there's still a good reason why you should play it, and that's to learn how AFVs work and to learn how they play. And of course, if you know how they play and you know how they work, especially in high tiers, you can prepare for them, you can see where they go, and then you can engage them reliably without being outspotted and hounded to death. So anyway, that is a review of the BMD-4. I recommend it. Go and try one.